Hey everybody, Joe Mystic Glenn here with Don the Diver Hudson.
What he said.
All right, we're just gonna wait for some folks to come in, Don.
Ain't nobody there yet?
No, well, got one. Let's see who she. Oh, Brian, what's up, guy? Thank you, man. Brian, we just give him a couple seconds.
I don't know how to, so I can see. I don't see things. I got to listen to you, so I don't know who's there. Who's not there.
I just see Bryant come in, Facebook user that's Yo-Yo. That means that's the president.
Hey,
so there's David. What's up, David? He likes to say Yo-Yo. I catch you on that one. Last time I did anyway, because you said you did it.
Say hi to Miss Lily.
Yeah, say hi to Lily for us, huh? Cool. All right, we got 3 now. Another Facebook user. Oh, that's Cade on the Facebook user.
How come you're not out in that garden, David? That son of a gun is looking sweet, brother. Woo! Man, it looks good.
The Facebook user is Cade. Oh, there's TJ talking about us ugly guys. What's up, TJ?
Oh, TJ hurt my feelings. Called me ugly. Right. Hey, what's up, brother?
All right, we got 4 up in here. You know what, Don? Let's get after it.
Started. Let's talk silly stuff.
Hey, Cade, like when you joined the live, I was told that you got to scroll down and allow access to StreamYard or your name. Allow StreamYard to have access to your name. I don't know what that's all about, but maybe look at it next time. I don't know. Just check it out. Huh? All right. So, Don.
What?
All right. So we're going to be talking about, first off tonight, man, I want to talk about rainwater collection. Now, this used to be illegal a while back, and I do know this, but I never understood why. But now I understand that it's okay. And I'd really like to be taking rainwater because, like for my cloners, any other water has calcium in it, and it calcifies in there, and it messes up my motors. Rainwater is great for my cloner. I had 0 issues and my clone sprouted in 10 days, right? But I also want to use this for my plants. Talk to me about rainwater collection. What do you do, if you do anything, or what do you know about it, huh?
Before you even talk about collecting it, the biggest thing is clean. Whatever you're going to catch it in, before it even gets there, look up in the air. Okay, if you've got a tree or something that's gonna, if you're gonna collect rainwater, you don't want it off your roof. What I do is, and it looks silly to my neighbors, I've got about 15 or 20 plastic containers, and when I know it's gonna rain, I put them out in the middle of my yard. Each one of them is washed and cleaned and dried every time I use them. But it's just, if you're gonna catch the stuff, you want pure rainwater. And
right.
If you can find something big in glass, that's the way to go. Because I don't like plastic anyway. But and you can buy rainwater catching barrels at Lowe's or anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
But my big deal is it's got to be clean, and every time you dump it, clean it, and it's got to be able to collect pure, clean rainwater.
Right.
Like right now, I know those people up in the northern part of the country right now have got the fire shit coming from Canada.
Yeah.
If I was growing cannabis and was collecting rainwater, I would not personally wouldn't use it. I'd put it on my garden. But you know how finicky, finicky cannabis can be. But I mean that's just rainwater. To me, coming off a farm, rainwater is the best thing in the world. But back in the day when you didn't have to worry about all this other pollution. I mean, we had pollution, but
I understand that.
Clean and make sure you get your water not out of your spout. You don't want it out of your spout.
Right. I got you. Hey, real quick, Cade Moore. Yes, I see your name now, bro. Good job. We got you. Brian Smith put something up. He said, like a dog cone to reach out a little bit further and collect it. I mean, that's a survival tactic. I've seen them.
Right there. That's it right there.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a beautiful idea of catching, more rain for space. Yeah, that's beautiful idea, Brian.
But just make sure if you use a piece of Visqueen or something like that, a piece of plastic, heavy duty plastic, make sure it's clean before you stretch it out, because everything it catches is going to come down. And I don't even care if you put it out in the middle of a field. You're going to want to get yourself some cheesecloth and stuff because you're going to get stuff in it, and you're going to want to if you want to be an anal like I am, to keep it clean, strain it through that cheesecloth to get even. We have a bad problem down with hurricanes, right? When the hurricanes come in, they bring rain. Well, we fight disease in our yards and gardens with this disease. You can't get rid of it. I mean, it comes in whenever there's a hurricane, sometimes, not always, and it's always different diseases, but it ruins your soil I'm fighting it right now in my backyard, and I'm losing grass and everything back there. So that's in the rain. So wherever you're at in the country, wherever your rain comes from, remember, whatever's over there, I've never been there, but I've heard stories. I wouldn't use any rainwater out of Los Angeles, or
Right. I remember the rain having, because I grew up in Los Angeles. I remember the rains having like a little bit of an acidity about.
You remember acid rain? That was a big thing back. Yeah,
and it was a serious thing. It was like legit. But for me, I put 5-gallon buckets out on my grow shop, which is a 30 by 50 metal building. It does run straight off the roof into my 5-gallon buckets. Now, there's a bunch of debris in there. I strain them out with my Micron bags. I have a Micron bag that is dedicated to that. That's what I was doing. Now, I guess it was more of a clean catch, though. I know everybody's had a piss test, and they always tell you to piss first and then stop it. Or girls, I'm sure they do a different way. But you stop it. Then you put the cup under. It's called a clean catch. And you've got rid of any debris that's there. And now you have clean urine. So I always wait for it to be raining for about an hour. It rinses off my roof. And then I go out there and put my buckets. I get wet too, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I ain't made of sugar, I promise you. But that's what I do. Now, I see your point as far as, bringing allergens and nonsense and perhaps bug larvae and stuff like that into your indoors. I have not used it on my indoor plants yet, just outdoor plants and my cloner, which that isn't going to affect them much. I haven't seen anything affect them much, but good point though with the, I hadn't thought about the larvae.
I run it inside. I don't have a problem running it inside, but here's something else for you guys that live in the Midwest and actually have dirt under you. I grew up in Southern Illinois, so I'm out in the farm. We had a cistern. I don't know if y'all know what a cistern is.
Yep.
But those are great, and we use that water for everything, because by the time all that water gets into the cistern itself, it is filtered through 30, 40 feet of dirt. It's just so if you're a young man and you would like some exercise, you go out and you dig yourself about a 40-foot hole and you make a cistern. Man, I'm telling you, if you can find a spring with it, oh my goodness.
Right. Even better.
Yeah, dig yourself a cistern, because that's just, we had one and it works great. But anyway,
I was thinking about putting in a well. Well water, I know, is solid, and because just like your cistern, it has all the ground to filter everything.
Well, be careful. I'll throw you another one, because of where I grew up. The Mississippi River is right there. Well, I don't know if everybody knows. There's also underground in the Midwest is an underground river, prehistoric river. So when we drill our own wells, and we go through all the rocks and the sandstone and everything. Yeah. My mom and dad, right before I left for the service, had a 300-foot well drilled, and it was into the river down there. Now, in that water is iron like you would not believe. It is so much iron and sulfur in it. Oh my God! You can't. It's terrible. So, if you dig a well, watch it. You got to really have. That's how Culligan and the fabrics or the water softener people got that big deal, because you can't drink the shit. You've got to run it through. You've got to run it through salt.
When I lived up in northern New York, I lived near a lake, or it was like it was a little lake. It was called oh shit, it's been a minute. Anyway,
that's a weird name. Oh shit, it's been
right.
I never heard of that lake.
Yeah, it's about there. Anyway, it was just a little podunk, but we lived right by the water, and that was the worst sulfur tasting or smelling water ever. And it was on a well, and it was just you couldn't even deal with it. I didn't cook with it. I didn't drink it. Couldn't even flush my toilet with it. It stunk so bad, I'll
tell you how bad it was. The hogs wouldn't even drink it. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I mean.
Crap.
Yeah. It was Limerick, New York, something like that. One of them fucking places.
Like there once was a guy from Nantucket. That's a Limerick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a little teeny place, man. But there was a lot of good fish in there, if I'm honest, But yeah, man. Anyway, sulfur water sucks. It's terrible.
But it's like we talk every time we talk on here. It's just common sense, If you're going to use rainwater, cool. If I would suggest if you're going to catch rainwater a little at a time, get something light colored so you can actually look in it. If you got a white thing and there's water in it and spots in it, you might want to strain it or something,
Right.
It's just all common sense. I'm like what you said, and you do. Everybody does what they want. That the stuff off the roof really bothers me, so I just don't get near it.
I've seen a lot of like around here in Oklahoma, because I live out in the country, and so the places that are around, they have these big. I think they use them for cattle, the big square water things with the metal cage around them. And they put them up above their house, and they have them. I assume the rainwater's filling them up, but anyway, they're usually full and usually green. So clearly they're not taking care of the water, but anyway, they collect the shit out of it around here.
Well, I mean, there's people that live out. Well, my buddy Buzz lives out in Reno, out in the mountains and stuff, and they catch water, and it hangs outside. That's how they warm the sun warms the water.
Yeah.
But you've got to, if you don't rotate, you know how it is. If you don't rotate that water daily or whatever, you're going to have to put something in it. I mean, you're going to have to you can't sit there. You're going to get fungus. That's like with water. It cost me a lot of plants for a long time. I've got a plastic watering can that I water with. It's my can. And I never thought that every time I get done watering, I just set it down. Well, that can's never empty. Ever. And I use fish shit a lot. So all that, after a while, you start growing fungus in there.
Yeah.
And putting the water in and dumping it back out.
Yeah.
It goes back to cleanliness. I sound like an old washwoman, I know. But now, when I get done, did I sound like a washwoman? Thanks a lot, Joe. So now when I'm done.
You caught that, didn't you?
And it sounds anal because a lot of it, I've got more time than most people on here. I'm retired. Hell, this is all I do is grow dope.
Right.
So I wipe mine out, and I've got it sitting on a gallon jug upside down with a nozzle in it, so there's air circulating through it. It sounds like it's being stupid. It sounds picky, but those little things help you make the big things.
Right.
We've got hard enough trouble with root rot and funguses and stuff. Why add more to it? That's where I see it. And how honestly. I don't know. I'm funny. When I was in the service, we had coffee cups, and I ever got done drinking coffee, I just wiped it out. It only takes a minute. Wipe that watering can out, and it all goes back to cleanliness. To me.
Yeah.
And if you let's say what we're talking about. Let's say rainwater. There's more shit in there than you can throw a stick at. I guarantee it.
Most times.
So if there's a little, go to a pond and you see the pond scum. So if you leave a little bit of that rainwater in your watering can every night, what do you got? Pond scum.
Yeah.
And there ain't no tadpoles in there to eat that shit. You're dumping it right back. And then you're like, oh, well, I got this fungus in my plant. How'd that happen? Hey, when was the last time you wiped out your watering can, brother?
You know what I was just thinking about?
What's that?
I was thinking about hydrogen peroxide.
Yep.
Why can't you put a shot in the water to get rid of any bacteria or fungus?
You mean before you water, or put it in and clean your can out?
Yeah, like say for instance, I have a 55-gallon drum that I have now filled up with all my rainwater buckets, so I could store it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I understand that there's more than likely some fungus and some crap in there that I don't want. Right. What if we added the appropriate amount of hydrogen peroxide? I don't know what that is, but what if we did that? Would that solve most of our issues, or would that just add something else?
You're going to get mad at me when I say this because I'm going to be a smart ass. As soon as you can find somebody to make hydrogen peroxide that will kill the bad things in there and leave the good things, I'll start using it, brother. But as soon as you
so it won't.
It'll take care of everything. But what's in there that you want? That if you take hydrogen peroxide and put it in your water, and then you put your fish shit in it, you done wasted your fish shit. It's killing all the microbes and everything. It's killing the microbes, and that's what. See, that's what's so tricky about it. Like we talked earlier, I use hydrogen peroxide to germinate because the mold, if you've ever, I told you, I've seen mold when you germinate sometimes. You don't get hydrogen peroxide. But once that thing's germinated, it's getting all the good stuff out of that seed. I mean, you know how this works. But if you put hydrogen, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, just by thinking about it, hydrogen peroxide kills the shit that's in fish shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, you know, I guess the whole reason I even said that is I've learned through growing cannabis and, you know, screwing up a lot and learning a lot that always think outside the box. Always think, you know, how can I fix this? Because it's not ever in cannabis. It's never not gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's just never say never in cannabis, I guess is what I meant to say. But anyway, that's where my head goes is how can we fix that problem? Because this is the only way I can collect at the moment. So how can I continue to do so and be efficiently clean? You know what I'm saying? So that's what everybody else needs to be doing too. That's how you start figuring shit out, guys.
Here's you know how my mind don't work like everybody else's. But if there's a lot of people out there that have fish tanks in their house, and if you got a fish tank in the house, you should sell. When you change your water, you should sell it. I mean, I'm paying for fish shit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that being said, it's just like we talked about the CO2 the other night, killing the bugs, the gnats, everything. If you can go to the pet store and get yourself a 99-cent goldfish in a bowl, and if you take an eyedropper with hydrogen peroxide and, I mean, get a couple fish and see how many drops it takes to get in that bowl before it kills that fish. Right. If that fish can live in the water with hydrogen peroxide, you can grow a plant with it. I mean, it sounds silly and it sounds like, oh, who's going to fucking do that? But, I mean, that's it. If that fish can live, the plant can.
Right. And that goes back to the old adage that if you're comfortable, your plant's comfortable. Right. You got to understand that we all kind of feel the same thing. But Bryant, iodine, yes, it would make your water potable. Right. However, I think it goes right along with the whole hydrogen peroxide thing. It's going to take all the shit out of the water so it doesn't affect us. Right. And so you're going to be losing all the goods that you want to be giving the plant. Well, you know, and whatever else that you get in there, too. You got anything to say about that, Don? Yeah. I believe that's how that would work.
You're right. I mean, think about it this way, okay? I use tap water here. I live in the city, and when I fill my jugs up after my waters, I set them with tops off. They exhale the chlorine in 24 hours. My shit's good. So, thinking about it, you're trying to get rid of that. You want pure water to mix your newts with for yours. You wouldn't put iodine in. I mean, if you're going to put iodine in, put a shot of chlorine in it. Honestly, it's a good thought. I mean, if you think about it, hey, that's going to take care of it. You're absolutely right. It makes it good for you to drink, but you don't want that on your plant. So does chlorine. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want that on your plants.
And so let's see what Kate said. Put a filter where you collect at the bottom of the barrel with a circulating pump to keep the water moving. Now that would keep all your mold and mildews out and stuff. But once it's in the water,
I never
you still haven't gotten rid of that.
But I mean, that circulating. I never thought of that. If you circulate that and use it on it, it's not going to have time to set. I mean, it won't do it.
For me, I have those air bubblers, right? Yeah. And they're in the bottom of my 55-gallon tank. The top's cut off of it, so I see everything, and I just set the lid back on when I'm ready. But when that fills up, those bubblers are always moving that water, so it's never gonna mold or mildew, but it does get little slimy shit and some brown stuff. Some brown stuff will come up. So there is that still. That's where, I hate to say it, but a chemical would come into play. I guess we're trying to get away from that.
But if you've got, I'm just thinking now about what I never thought about the agitator. It's got me blown away. If you would keep that agitator going and you're still, I mean, I don't know how tall a barrel you would want, but if you had a good sized barrel and agitated the bottom and just took your suction 6 inches up from the bottom, so you were sucking after 6 inches in a barrel, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think, if you could figure that out, it gives you something to do if you ain't got nothing to do one day. But that makes sense.
I got something for you. It just came back into my head when I was setting up my grow shop. I was trying to figure out a pump system, and I had a plumber. He's just some, just regular old plumber, probably the cheapest guy I could find. Well, he had this brilliant idea. You take your pump or your tank, you fit it with PVC pipe to where you have a sprayer. So your water goes in, it sprays up into the top of your barrel, and so it aerates it as it's spraying and filling up the tank, and it blows off all your chlorine, and it would probably do a lot of that aeration that we're needing to keep the molds and mildews away. Maybe if you came up with some kind of, but see, now you're getting into motors and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And PVCs and stuff.
Also, I've seen that operation you're talking about, and it works, but it's another one of those things, like we talked earlier about how easy it's getting to be to grow things. That operation is great, it works great, but you've got to stay on it, because as that water goes up and aerates, the chlorine and everything in the water is crusting. So pretty soon, you start getting stalactites, Okay. I mean, after a while, it just crusts up there. So if you make something like that, and I've seen them made out of plastic trash cans. So the guys figured out you can take that top off, once, twice a week, whatever, and clean it real good and put it back on, because it's going to collect everything that the air is blowing out, and it's going to stick. So it's not something you're going to want if you ain't into this big time, because it takes time. I mean, that's I
get it.
And that goes right back to two. It's got to be clean. It's so important.
So to recap on the rainwater, because I got somewhere I'm going to go with this, but so to recap with the rainwater, it would seem just through our conversation that the best option would be the buckets out in the middle of nowhere with a little bit of a catch, make sure everything's clean, and then still have some cheesecloth in there to filter any contaminants that may be getting in there, right? Yep, I think I can agree with that. I can agree with that one.
I mean, if you're only catching a little bit at a time, take a 5-gallon bucket, clean it real good, put some cheesecloth right on top of it, put it out in the yard. There you go. Because a good thunderstorm where I'm at, I used rainwater last year, and a good thunderstorm will get you a good 2 or 3 gallons of water.
Yeah.
I mean, where I'm at. So
I see that.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Chris? All right. Now, where are we going to be heading, Don?
I know where I'm going.
it has been a word that keeps popping up: cleanliness. Talk to me about this.
Oh, what? I thought it was going somewhere else. Cleanliness.
No, I know where you thought I was going. See,
yeah.
No, because we have been talking about cleanliness a lot, and we might as well just go a little further. Okay. I mean, we got a few more minutes to get rid of this subject, and we'll go on. Okay. But cleanliness, and we'll come back to that because you can't talk enough about cleanliness. So we're talking about cleaning all of our barrels or buckets, anything that's going to be collecting anything that we're going to be taking indoors, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
So go ahead.
So what?
You're going to point me there. I'm not going on my own. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, no. I'm just saying. So we're cleaning everything. And the reason why we clean things is because, well, bugs are everywhere. There's dust everywhere. There's dirt everywhere. Like I can go into my grow tent every 2 days and I have a dust bunny over in the corner collecting a whole bunch more dust, and so I always vacuum. I have one of those little dust busters. I clean up all my stuff. I sweep, I vacuum all my rooms. Yep. I clean my scissors with alcohol, clean my hands a lot.
Hang on. If you're going to keep talking, I'm going to interrupt and ask questions.
Yeah, all right.
How often do you, and what do you do it with? Do you wipe your tents down?
Alcohol.
Are you kidding? Really?
No,
I do. Top, bottom, and sides alcohol?
The whole thing. I have a spray bottle.
Tell me how you do it.
I mean, I just get rags, like some blue rags.
Right.
Or a towel, depending on what, how much work I got to do. Most of the time I'll wet this down or at least dampen it. And then it'll be a bigger bottle, but this is alcohol, and I'll spray the whole walls down. Right. And I go in there, I wipe, and if it gets a little heavy or, whatever, I get the hell out and, get a breath and I go back in.
Do you spray that when your plants are in there?
No. This is after.
Okay. How do you clean your tents when your plants are in there?
I don't generally mess with my stuff until the harvest is gone. Not on my walls.
This is my sad look, Joe.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm not going to go keep moving them all. I mean, now I'll clean my fans because they collect a lot of dust. But my walls, I don't necessarily mess with. I can't necessarily get to them too easily, And I would almost bet money 95% of growers don't clean their walls while they have a batch in.
You'd lose that bet.
Really? 95?
Yep. You'd lose that bet. And
So
let me
you're
tell you.
opposite?
Yep.
Really?
Most people, a lot of the people, how about that? A lot of the people, I can say most, because I'm not saying nobody's better than nobody.
Right.
Just water. I personally, you know what, how big a sprayer, one of the sprayer things you spray like for countertops when you go to a bar and the bar, okay, one of them. I'll take one of them, fill it up, put 3 or 4 drops of the hydrogen peroxide in it.
Okay.
And go in the tent, and at least every other week I wipe everything down. Now that being said, at least once a month, everything comes out, and I wipe everything down. And we discussed this earlier. I know you want to get done, but it goes back to cleanliness. I use those AC Infinity automatic pot waterers, and I had a discussion with a gentleman. Not on our side, on a different side, and he was cussing about they're so nasty. Well, yes, they are nasty, okay? You put your water in it, you put your plant on it, and I water from my newts from the top. Well, you've got to take that out of there once in a while and just clean it, wipe it down, flush it, put new wicks on it, or you're going to keep sucking that shit up. And this gentleman's like, well, they're worthless, they get dirty. Here's how I look at it, and I don't mean to offend nobody. I know that when I take a poo-poo, I'm going to need to wipe my butt, okay? Right. So what that plant is doing is poo-pooing, so you might want to, and it goes right back to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like I said, I take everything out and clean, but you do a lot of pollinating. And, water, if you're worried about pollen in your tent, water, well, you ain't got to worry about it.
I mean, I am lucky enough to have an outdoor section, and lucky enough to have an indoor section and a whole grow section. Yeah. So my pollinating is out in my grow shop, and because I don't have the facility up and running, but it will handle 2 plants, and that's why I'm out there. They have nothing to do with my plants indoors, thank God. I took 3 showers today because I messed with my pollen 3 times. And you
should get some tie-back suits, man.
I know. I thought about them, and I don't have them, but yes, I would wear that. Anyway, but okay, so back to cleanliness too, man. Fabric pots. Everybody's using these fabric pots. Talk to me, Don. Then I'll tell you what I do.
And first, I didn't think about something, and Travis said something earlier on one. Anyway, I use the black ones, and I didn't think about. Yeah, they do collect heat. I ain't gonna lie, they do, and I never thought of that. Yeah, but. This is why I use them. Okay, there's airflow, and I live in the South, and we got humidity, and it's terrible. So I use them for that. I love them. But we talked earlier. I got more than a lot of them, but I rotate them, and right now I've got all my 5 gallons out. When I get done with a grow, I chop and I put all the dirt in my garden. Okay, I turn my bags inside out, and I brush them a little bit, and I got hooks on my privacy fence. I hang them outside, and I'll leave them out there for 2 or 3 weeks, and the sun will sanitize them, and everything will be good. Then I'll take them down and I'll brush them off because they're inside out. All those little roots and stuff are still, a lot of the tiny hair ones are in there, and I'll brush them off a little bit, and I'll get a whole bunch of them. I'll get 5 or 10 of them, and I'll just throw them. If you don't want to make your wife mad, go to the local laundromat. Spend $1.25, okay? But I bought my damn washing machine. So anyway, I don't put nothing in it. And I don't even use hot water. Cold water, I run them through a full cycle, take them out, flip them back right side in, hang them back on the fence. I like them to dry outside because I know they're getting the sun and all that neat Google shit. But that's why I use them. And I'll tell you what, I'm advertising. I'm using Vivison bags. And some of them are on their 3rd year. 3 years of constant growth. So I love them. And I've seen some of the guys that I talked to about them. They got bags, man. You could put bodies in some of the. They've got like 50-gallon hunt, whatever. They're bad.
Yeah. I have like 251 gallon, 255 gallon, and like 10 gallons. Right. Those are my bags. But one thing that I know that this group will have a problem with eventually, somebody in this group, synthetic nutrients. Okay. With the salts, if you're feeding your plants these, right? If you're feeding your plants these, it builds up on these things, right? And it'll be all white and look kind of crazy. Now, it's not a huge problem, but your airflow, which those fabric pots are good for, and that'll all be blocked up, and your drainage will be too. So how I clean them, because when I started out, because I've been doing it for a few years. When I started out using fabric pots, I was still using synthetic newts with salt. They were salts, and so they would build up in the fabric pot. I would take myself a 5-gallon bucket and maybe 5 or 10 of those fabric pots after they clean, throw them in there with vinegar and baking soda, and so you baking soda them all up and you shove them in there, and then you pour the vinegar over them, and it bubbles, and it's not very expensive. Vinegar's cheap, baking soda's cheap. Let it soak for a minute and then take it out and rinse it off and hang it, and then let it do your thing. And it's usually got rid of most of the salts, especially the washing after you have messed with the vinegar and the baking soda.
How because I'm asking because you're using vinegar. After a few runs like that, what's your stitching like? Does it bother your stitching at all?
No, the only thing I saw was I had some stitching when brand new ones. The top pieces were coming back. Those are the ones with that little lime green stitching. There's actually, I don't know who made it, but either way, that stitching was starting to pop off. But I just think it was extra stitching. But no problems. Okay. Haven't had any issues with them.
While we're talking about them, I grow a lot, and I've got 3, 5, and 10 gallons. I got some of these new square 10 gallons that are badass.
Yeah.
For a lot of the people that are on the site that are like constricted to how they got to go and stuff, if I lived in an apartment again, I would have 3 gallons. 3 gallons for autos. I mean, if you're growing for you, now I grow for a lot. Mm-hmm. So I don't put autos in 10. I put my autos in 5s when I've got enough. But if I was like some of our sisters that we met in Oklahoma City that are growing small, I'm going to mention people's names. 3 gallon. I mean, you're saving on your dirt, you're saving on your newts, and you're not growing for anybody but you and maybe a friend or two.
Yep.
And now to go before, I know we got to move on. I do, but I'm going to we can transfer with what I'm going to start. You sure. Listen, take on with it. The salt thing, I didn't know when I first started growing inside. I didn't know nothing. I mean, nothing about inside. I knew how to grow in dirt. And I've been using Miracle Grow for tomatoes all my life. So I got me a bag of Miracle Grow, and I grew some nice. I ain't gonna lie to you. I listened to all the stuff. Yes, it's terrible. It's got chemicals. Well, you know my answer to that. If you're worried about the chemicals in your soil, when was the last time you went to the drive-thru at McDonald's? Okay, so don't talk to me about chemicals.
Yeah.
But some very smart people explained to me about chemicals and soil, and I changed and I used Coco Loco and Ocean Forest mix. Yeah. When I was using Miracle Grow, it looked like it snowed. I'd get halfway through the summer in my 10 gallons, and the outsides of them were just white. So when we were in Oklahoma City, one of the vendors was My Salts. I just had to talk to them. Blah, 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 blah. And the bottom line is, I don't care what you use. That's your business. But since I changed my soil and all I use is fish shit and gold leaf, that's just me, okay? That's my stuff. I haven't seen a white nothing. I mean, my fiber, you guys have seen them. I mean, I post every day. I'll tell you what, if anybody sees any of my posts and they see white on my pots, call me collect. I want to know I've done something wrong. Because it was the neatest thing. I didn't understand. I waited last year and I waited. Hey, there ain't no salt. And I finally found out I didn't know it was salt. I really didn't.
Yeah.
But now I know. So and like you said, it not only clogs up your bags. If you think about it, if it's clogging up your bags, what the hell's it doing to your roots, man?
I mean, it's something to think about. Now, I can't prove it does anything to the roots, but I would just imagine that
I can't prove it either, but common sense tells me,
Yeah. And that's what growing is all about. It's freaking common sense. I'm telling you, you'll get through it if you just have a little bit of common sense. It's true.
And that's why, I mean, you had to talk me into doing this with you because, I mean, you know a lot and God, there's so many people that David, everybody knows a lot. And all I know is farming. So when we talk, if you're doing something different and you don't agree with me, great, man. All I can do is tell you what I do.
Sure.
And, I mean, people come up with stuff and I don't believe it, so I got to try it. I would rather, I'll tell you what, I'll put this out there. if any of you guys got something you're concerned about or you want to know about and you don't want to waste the money, try it. Let us know. I'll try it. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I've killed more seeds than you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I learned from screwing things up. And one of the big things that people can concerned about is transferring plants.
Yeah.
Ta-da! There you go. I gave it to you.
All right. So let's. Thanks for the segue, brother.
No problem.
Let's talk about a myth in cannabis growing. There's a lot to talk about, but tell me about the myth of transplanting an autoflower.
Everybody since the first, I've only been growing autos a couple years, and I like to brag. You've seen what I've produced out of, especially with Serious Ken. He's got some great genetics. I'm going to tell you, but I learned trial and error. The myth about you can't transplant an auto. If you've been on VetCode's site for 10 minutes today, I showed you, and I'll show you what happens in the morning. I took 5 autos and transplanted them. I took a picture when they weren't, and I took a picture when they were. Here's how I do it, and you can argue. I don't care. This works for me, so I'm just telling you what works for me. And as a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, when these are done, I'm going to go nanny because they look good. So what I do, we go to Lowe's, me and my wife, and we get flowers and plants and stuff. And you know those little black plastic things that come in?
Yep.
A lot of people use solo cups. You and I talk, and if you use a solo cup, my biggest suggestion to you is poke holes in the bottom of it.
Yep.
These things, they throw them away. Mm-hmm. You know, so I get them, and they got the holes, and I put my potting soil in there, and then I put my seed in there, and I grow. And when it gets to be, well, you look at the pictures today, I guess they were about 4 inches. I can't remember how many weeks they were, but anyway, they were nice little plants. But how I look at them, I hold them up. I keep them in a tub and I water from the bottom, and I'll hold them up. And if I've got just you don't want to see roots, just the start of roots coming out of those holes, then I'll make my fiber bag. I'll put all my stuff in there and I'll fill that some up, and then I'll take I can look at that plastic thing. I'll wet my soil real good as I put it in the bag. You know, it's all nice and moist, and then I'll not smash it, but just tamp it a little bit to firm it up. And then I'll dig in there a hole the size of that plastic thing. And I'll put that plastic thing in there and I'll level the soil around it. I took the other soil out, right? I'll level that around it. Okay, then I'll gently wiggle it out and it'll slide up. Okay, and then I've got a mister, and you got to have a mister. Not a spray can, not one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, you pump this thing up and it goes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll mist the inside of that real gentle and the top of it. Then I'll take that plastic thing and I'll put the plant between 2 fingers, and then I'll flip it over. And when I put it in there, when I put the seed in there, it's level with the top. So I mean, there's no 3-inch gap for it to fall out of. I'll squeeze the sides a little bit just to compact it, flip it over, and you'll have the mark, that hole, and gently just put that in there. Bring your soil up around it. Don't smash it. Bring it up real nice and easy so you've got good soil. And I mean, you're going to want to be careful with it and just spray it again, moist it down. And my suggestion, what I do is I put them in the shade for, a day. There's sun out there, but they're in the shade. Yeah. And I don't want wind around them because they need to be cute and they don't need to be wiggled or none of that shit.
Right.
And I mean, I hate, no, I don't. I can keep, you see what I'm producing. So if somebody tells you you can't do that, send them over. I'll show them.
Right.
I'm doing it. It's
literally, in my opinion, it's all about being careful. If you disturb those roots too much or mess with that stalk, just be a little rough, it will let you know. And I've done it. And that's literally why I stopped doing the transplant of autos, because sometimes, and not all the time, but maybe I'd have like 2 out of the 5 would just be droopy for a couple of days. And so that meant they weren't growing well. They weren't doing what they needed to be doing like the others. And so for me, that's why I went to 1 pot, like everybody says, but I knew it was possible. I just, when I'm teaching someone, I want you to go with the most 100%, thing. And so that's why I tell them that. But yes, it's absolutely possible. You can clone an autoflower. I wouldn't suggest it because your clone's going to be flowering while it's trying to grow roots. It's just not going to do it. And so it's just a little bit of a waste of time. But yes, you can transplant. Absolutely.
But that being said, that brings up into a whole big discussion, and you've got to be careful with photos too. But I don't know how to. I mean, you can almost throw a photo against a wall. You can almost. I'm not saying don't do this. I've dropped them. I have dropped seedlings and looked at the roots, picked them up, put them back in the pot, and the damn things are fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that works great. And what I'm finding with autos, because like I say, I'm real new at this, that you've got to be gentle with them. But something I'm finding, if you train them, like we've been talking a lot about training you and me lately.
Yeah.
A photo, I mean, I have a blast with a photo. I really do. You can train them. You can do almost anything with them. Anyway, an auto to get the clips on like I use all the time, you have got to really pay attention because those damn stems are hard like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with the clip, and I swear by the clips, and I put some on the one I'm bragging about to you all the time, Joe. And the first 2 sets that I put on were fine. And I went back 3 days later to put some more on. Mm-mm. I had to go ahead and do the smash them with fingers and all that shit. So as far as the training, you can get away with a lot. But man, I'm telling you what, until that plant's established, you can transplant them. And like I said, I do it all the time. But if you're just starting to do it, grow 2 plants. That way you're screwing up, But it's once you do it, if you want, you can go to Lowe's and buy pepper plants, and they come in the same thing, and you can practice with them.
Sure.
You can dig a hole, take a pepper plant, and then you'll know how much pressure and how much force. Now, when they come out, they're wrapped with roots. You don't want to see that on an auto, but I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about. Buy yourself a pepper plant and do that.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, Bryant was mentioning that Pops was telling him that autos trigger the flower when the root hits the bottom of the pot, and he recommended transplanting them early, before it gets pot bound. So and I would suggest that's a really good point, Brian, for sure. I would suggest that goes with all plants. I wasn't aware of the roots hitting the bottom to flower it, but I guess it makes sense.
Here's what I'm under, and I asked some people about that. I heard the same thing, and the gentleman whoever said is right. Mm. But however, there's always a caveat or whatever that big word I can't spell is. There's always something to it. What happens is a lot of people besides cleanliness, if you're going to do this and get good results, you got to pay a whole lot of attention. I mean, you got to look at that plant. It sounds silly, but I look at my plants 4 or 5 times a day, and I've got 20 of them. Okay. So the gentleman is right. What happens is that root is stretching and trying to go somewhere, and it hits that and it shocks it. It's just like any other time you shock an auto. So that's why I said the way I do it, I look at them all the time, and in those little holes in the bottom of that thing, you can see when they just start coming out. Mm-hmm. Before, I mean, they're not hitting that bottom. That's why I do it. But like I said, you shouldn't do it if you ain't got the time. And that whoever told you that as soon as those roots hit that bottom, as a matter of fact, it's lucky that on autos they go down instead of out. Because if they hit on the side, you'd be really screwed. But yet, I mean, he's right.
And Don, that's exactly why I use the solo cups. You remember I do 2 cups with the clear on the inside, is so I could see when that root is getting right to the bottom. But see, instead of looking like that, which is a good technique, mine was to see it right from the visual all around.
And that makes so much sense. It really does. But I've got a thing about solo cup, and that would work for me. But I would have to get 2 sets of cups and drill holes. I've got that. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in holes, and that would be good. Now, what's really cool is he left me. Oh my.
So, I mean, you see my little holes.
Yep.
Right, and then I got them in this one too. And so, anyway, so this is where I see my roots, just like what you would do from here, right? Uh-huh. And but yeah, I just take a little soldering iron, zip, 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 and I just put all the freaking things together, and I do like 2 or 3 together, and it takes me a few seconds. Anyway,
Well,
I have a lot of time on my hands.
and what is so cool about what you just said and showed everybody? Somebody out there, I can't remember what the company. It's one of the big seed companies, not cannabis. Tomatoes and peppers that you buy at Lowe's. Gulf. It starts with a G. Anyway, they this year came out with all their seedlings that you buy from Lowe's are in clear plastic cups with holes in the bottom.
I'll be darned.
I mean, everything you were just talking about. Now, when I go to Lowe's to get the new stuff this year, I just noticed them. That's what I'm doing. I'll trade all my black stuff in. They're coming from Lowe's clear.
Hell yeah.
And it's awesome. And that was so cool what you just did because, hey, man, you could have got a patent on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just.
But they're right. You don't want those root. But like I said, I mean, we talked about it earlier. There's some guys that are really into this, and it helps me. And I'm anal about it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm so OCD, it's unreal. So that's what I do. I mean, if you've got the time, do it. If not, hey, do it like everybody else. It's cool. And this will piss. I know I'm gonna make somebody upset, and I don't mean to, but it's the way it is. I'm just man. I don't know nothing, but I told you if I get 4 ounces out of an auto, I'll never grow that strain again. If I can't get 8 or 10 ounces out of an auto, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I found a trick. When I figured out, I ain't telling nobody. Right. But I'm telling you, that's why it gets me. So I've got some out there now that I'll be lucky to get 2 ounces off a couple of them. They're all going to medicine, but I'll never grow them again.
I believe the amount that you get out of your autos is genetics, man. That's genetics.
You have seen what I've done with Serious Kin stuff. And y'all have seen what I've done with Gnome Automatic stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. And I swear it's hard for me to grow anybody else's automatics because we had this discussion. When you take an auto and you do your initial weight, brothers, I got one weight, 1,420 grams chop weight. I'll tell you what, and I know I know you're there, David. I know you've got over a pound off 1 or 2, but I'll tell you what, for an old fat man that just started growing autos a couple years ago, you can do whatever you want. It's all, in my opinion, genetics, baby. And thanks to Vet Codes, we got some sponsors that got some stuff. I haven't had the privilege of growing everybody's stuff, but I guarantee you, we got some people out there breeding some automatics. And if you guys are liking automatics, wow.
Aaron's talking about Brother Mendel's. Have you ever heard of them? I've never heard of them, but I'd like to check them out.
I can't read. It doesn't come for me to read. Brother Mendel's, they got autos.
Brother Mendel's has the best auto genetics he's ever ran.
Very good autos. I'm going to check this out. I love that.
MENDELS.
DELS. Wow, Mendel Rivers. That's a big name down here in South Carolina. Brother Mendel's genetics. Okay, I'm on it, man. I'm telling you.
He says the black strap is amazing.
And now, see, that's wild because black strap is part of the cross with Mothman, and you know how I feel about Mothman. You saw the Forge, and black strap's in there. So if he's got somebody doing autos with straight black strap, I'm gonna get a hold of these. That's some purple. I mean. Whew, I've never been. I didn't know you could get it straight to grow. Thank you, brother, whoever you are. I'm checking into this.
He said he's got 3 for you. He'll send them to you.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited right now, brother. I've got to do this because if they're good genetics, like you say, I mean, if I get good genetics, I'll hurt somebody with them. I mean, I will grow monsters.
He said send him a message. All right.
I got you. When we get off here, thank you. I can't wait. I'm excited. Now, you guys don't. What? Go ahead.
Real quick. Aaron was talking about perpetual growing with photos. Hey, Aaron and everybody else, we will have this discussion about perpetual growing. Okay.
Yes. That
was something that we wanted to get to tonight, but I don't think we're gonna. But we have more shows, guys. So we'll make that happen. I promise you for that.
We're gonna, but I got to throw this out there. If you're gonna do perpetual, just plan on your family knowing you're addicted. Okay. I mean, that's right. It's a running joke with me and Joe. It's like, I'm done. I'm not growing no more. And 3 more went in the dirt today.
Yeah.
Joe's like, did you do 3 more? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he did.
If you're thinking about doing perpetual, you can just give up church. You can give up going out with your wife, seeing the kids. You're especially if you're doing more than 4 at a time, give it up, brother. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? We got like 8 minutes left, man. Let's keep on with autos, man. There's still a lot to talk about, man.
Okay, there's a good one. I'll throw it at you. What's your take on defoliating? No. Let's start with this. Topping autos. Go ahead. Start. You talk about it.
Topping the autos.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no problem topping autos. I've done it several times. Once again, autos are moody and they stress very easily.
When do you top the first time?
I would top about the 5th, maybe 7th node on an auto. I'd wait for they're a little tall. At least 5 nodes. Never go to 3 with an auto. It's too young. Always go up at least 5th. I usually would stop maybe 6th, 7th, when I'd catch it because they grow fast, And so I would catch it, make sure I got a good cut first and foremost so you don't fem it, right?
Time out. For those of us, go ahead. You had to tell me. Thank you, Scotty. Go ahead, Joe. Tell him.
Hey, so Scotty, I did it, man. I'll do a video on it. My fem.
Tell him what fem means.
Okay, fem means fuck I missed.
Thank you.
You missed the top, right? That little internodal space is where you're supposed to cut, and you cut right here and only took off half the leaves. And so now you got this weird thing up top, right? But like Scott said, it produces more bud sites. And so right in the middle where I femmed it, there are 6 to 7 bud sites, whereas the topping that I did, there's nothing in the center. Everything's opened up, so it's all, getting all the light and love to all the bud sites. So there is that problem that's a little more bushy. You might want to need to go and take some leaves. You will have some extra bud sites, but the more bud sites you have, the smaller your bud's going to be. Don't forget that, folks.
Well, when can I start defoliating? When do I don't want to defoliate no more?
Man, be careful with autos of defoliating. I would, if you're going to take leaves and there's 10 that you want to take 5, come back 3 days later and take the other 5. Take it easy. So if you like a photo, I could just tear it all down. I mean, take a bunch of leaves and yeah, they may droop a little bit, but they come right back. They're all happy. But an auto flower, if you take more leaves than you should, man, they're just going to be so moody. Now, I know people can probably argue about that, but I'm telling you, my autos, the way I grew them, the genetics that I had, the environment that I had, when I did those things, they did not like it. And
what
so
about,
I
what,
cut it
what
out.
about if I forget and it's all bushy, like the first week of flower? What can I defoliate then? Can I defoliate once we flower it?
I think you can defoliate anytime.
On
you want
an
to.
auto, really?
Yeah, I have.
I mean,
I've done it.
On a photo, I do it all day long, but I've never. I mean, when my autos start flowering, I'm done.
Yeah, whenever you have, like, if I have a leaf covering a bud, and with all the little sugar leaves and stuff, that leaf is generally either going to get pushed down and underneath of it, and if it won't stay, it comes off. It's just very selective. You have to be selective, knowing where you're doing it and why you're doing it.
I trim bud sites. I do that with bud sites, but I don't defoliate nothing after on an auto after.
And you don't have to.
On a photo, I'm chopping shit. I mean, I'm lollipopping. That's all there is to it, man.
Yeah.
There. But
I have a bad problem with anytime a leaf may look a little hinky or start, like the plant's starting to eat it and it starts to look a little different color or weird. I have a problem. I have to cut it off.
Gotta go.
I can't have it there. But I have gotten better, and I will let it get like really messed up to where I can just pull it off instead of cutting it off. And
go ahead.
I'm a little bit pushy with that. I like my plants to look perfect. And when I have a problem, I'll take that damn leaf off because I don't like to look at it every day,
Well, just to give kudos to you, and there was somebody else in on it, as much as people think I know something, we were going to do this. It was light, and I can't do it. But tomorrow I'll take pictures. I've got 6 out there that I top, 6 autos, and they're all nice. but I filmed 5 of them. I've got a Gorilla Glue out there that's, oh my God, it's spreading out everywhere. But I'm because I've always done it, and it was always hit and miss. I didn't know to wait till the 4th node. I top them whenever I really feel like it. Well, now thanks to Joe and I can't remember who else, I know that. But I'll take pictures tomorrow and show y'all. I mean, they're beautiful plants, but I got 3 that got about another week on them, and they're just straight up in the air. But I'm telling you what, that Gorilla Glue I got growing out there, I'm on my 3rd set of clips. I mean, it's just, that'll be a monster. It really will. It's going to be a good one. But I mean, thank you. And let them go. Go to 4, even 5 nodes before you try to top them.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm telling you, it's pain.
And it'll happen fast. It'll happen fast, you know.
Bam, like that. Yeah. Well, I just transplanted those today. Okay, I'm at 2 nodes on them right now. So my goodness, we'll do the video next week, and ask me, and I'll bet you I've done topped them probably next week. They'll have 4 nodes on them next week.
Yeah, we'll do a little update when that comes, man. Yeah, that'll be good. I'd love to see it.
Cool. That'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Okay. Wait, no. Who am I supposed to DM?
Aaron.
Aaron. Okay.
Aaron Proctor.
Sorry, guys. I've got one brain cell and I lost it earlier today.
So let me make sure. Yes, Aaron Proctor.
I might have to visit him. I'm excited about this. I've always wanted to grow straight blackstrap.
Aaron's asking, says, you guys ever notice with autos that sometimes the pistils will stay white versus photos turning red and brown? I
got this. Go ahead.
I've noticed it, but I've noticed it with photos, some photos too. Okay. Not all the hairs will turn brown. They just, sometimes want to put out a new pistil, what's the hairs, of course, but
we don't we don't have enough time for this. We have to get back into this, but
yeah.
This is one of those. This is a whole discussion on itself. That time crap that the breeders put out 75, 10. What I'm here to tell you that the forge that I brag about, that 1,420 gram motherfucker, that some bitch went 105 days and the pistils were still white. So you can sometimes, and there's a lot of discussions out there in the World Wide Web. It happens, man. This will be the next discussion we have on this. All that stuff you heard about, that's just a box you can get into. Get yourself something that you can get inside that bud and look at those trichomes. I don't care how many days you grow something, how old it is. Those trichomes are going to tell you when to chop that plant. I don't care who you talk. If somebody tells you something different, they're wrong. I don't care. Those trichomes are the only way you know and once you know what your colors are on your strains, that plant, you'll know when to chop it every time.
Damn right.
But every time you put a seed in, it's not going to end on that same color. You've got to check them. And if I'm wrong, no, I'm not. Trichomes tell it all, brother. I'm telling you.
They do. Trichomes, that is the way to tell when you're going to be ready to harvest your weed, right? That's the idea. And just like Dustin said, that's 100% facts. That whole time period that they give you for flower, that's all relative. I think we mentioned that. Like I've had, 8-week flowers that went 12, went 10, went 7. I've seen all the different things. So yeah, you did say that, right? That it's all relative, and you got to understand
that photo in the room behind me has been in flowers since 420.
Yep.
And I've got another 3 or 4 weeks on it out. I mean, it started in January. I don't know. What I do though, when I put a seed in the dirt, I write it down. And because of most of the autos, they'll tell you 75 days. So at 75 days, I'll start looking at my microscope, and that'll tell me, well, I ain't got to look for another 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah. But that gives me a parameter to get into. So at 75 days, heck, I'll look at it. Okay. It takes 2 seconds to get in there and you're done.
Yeah,
but that's it. I mean, and I know
not much. I think it's like $30 on Amazon. You can get a nice little microscope that hooks to your phone.
And that's just it. People are spending all kinds of money on this meter and that meter and this meter, and they're great. Don't get me wrong. I use a par meter, but when it comes to growing dope, you want something you got to see inside there. You've got to get in that bud. You can come close. You can grow the shit that everybody talks. Well, that's that homegrown crap nobody likes. Well, you can get in that thing and you can make some good stuff, but you've got to read those trichomes. I mean, unless somebody came up with something new, I don't know any other way to tell if a plant's ready is to read the trichomes.
You're right. Don't. I mean, I'm sure somebody like me, I can tell when my mama Mia is about ready just because I've grown her for years.
Sure.
But I still have to look to make sure when she's ready. I mean, I could look when I think she's ready. I got a whole nother week, you know.
And that's right. I've got that California Dream I'm growing, and it's a photo, and I grow 2 of those every year. I don't care. So I know about, but this son of a gun here, it's doing something. I'll bet you I've grown that strain at least 6 times. It's doing something this time. I told you, the buds, there's a zillion of them, but they're all the size of quarters. I've never seen nothing like that on this plant, but there you go.
Well, Don, we did our hour, brother. We're going to save all this great information for another time. That way we can make sure we have more videos. But because we can just talk all night, bro. We really could.
It's a good thing we don't drink.
But hey, hang out.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and end. Hey, there's no more questions, right, guys? I think we answered everybody's questions, man. Everybody was kind of really getting some input in there too. So that's really good. I appreciate the interactiveness, guys. But hey, so we got 4 people left. We're going to go ahead and call it out. Aaron, thank you for showing up late anytime, man. You know, anytime you show up is great. Pamela, hey, what's up? Anyway, so hang out, Don. Guys, thank you for showing up, and we'll see you Thursday. I'm going to be talking with Blue Organics, Rebecca from Blue Organics. She has a bunch of updated products that they're just coming out with, CBD type stuff, and she wants to give you the lowdown. And she's got all kinds of information, and I think she even has some cool opportunities for you guys. I can't say nothing. I'm not really positive, but she's got it. All right. So anyway, until then, guys, happy growing. And let me get over to my stuff. See, I'm pretty slow at this stuff. But anyway, happy growing, y'all.
Yeah.